Now this is the bottom part of the comparison between the Keihin 28mm carburetor and the Oko 28mm, which is a copy of the Keihin. And the Keihin is 1.5 times more expensive. Now I've taken off the bottom float bowls. This is the Oko, and we'll get back to that in a minute. But you see this nice little, notice this carburetor has been sitting a year, and this is going to be a very important lesson today for explaining a very, very common carb problem. If you notice that when I pick the float bowl up, the stuff in the bottom barely moves. Now it's fairly clean except for that, just that little bit of, looks like oil. Maybe it's oil. This is the inside of the Keihin, which is totally clean, it's never been used. And both of these are, I don't know if I can get this down here. Both of them are almost mirrored copies, except, like I said, the Keihin has their castings on their aluminum is better. I don't know if that helps or not. Now we look at the bottom of the Oko 28mm. I've taken the floats out. They're really easy to put back in. And you'll notice that there is some wet stuff right in here. Okay, now that's more that gas. If you look down in here by this screw on the right hand side, you'll see a little bit more of that. It's what's called dry gas. And you'll also notice that what holds this centerpiece in right here is just 2 regular screws. And then you have your main jet, which is this small hexagonal jet, and your slow speed or your idle jet is right on top of it. Those are the 2 that you change to get your jetting right. Remember that a carburetor is no more than a fuel metering device. And I believe to have the proper amount of gas or fuel per air, you need 14 parts air per 1 part fuel. And that's all these do. And if they're out of adjustment, you're either giving them too much fuel per that ratio or too less. Now on the Keihin, over here, we have this screw right here. If you screw it in or out, if you screw it in, it lifts up the slide, which is this right here. It lifts the slide up just a little bit to get a better idle right here. And this is on the other side than the Oko. The Oko has the screw right here on the other side. Now if you look down into the guts of the Keihin, this is brand new, it's never been used. It has a green mark right here that shows that someone's been in there with a green marker. It also has the centerpiece right here, which is held together by these absolutely nightmare devil screws. They have this hexagonal bolt head with a little pin in the middle, and I have never seen a screwdriver to get it off. I had to take a couple of them off my Mikuni right here one time. So what I did was I took a Dremel and I dremeled out the little inner nub right there, and then I used a hex wrench on it, and it worked okay, but I wish I had a screwdriver for it. And this has got the same kind of setup here. What we have is your main jet, which is right in the middle of the camera. That controls your throttle from 1/4 to full wide open throttle. This is your slow jet or your idle jet on the very top. This controls the idle from 0 to 1/4. So once you get these right, then you won't have stuttering at the beginning of your run, of your acceleration range, and you won't have either crapping out on the top end or running too much gas, fuel. We call it gas in America. I don't know what they call it anywhere else. The floats are very similar. This one says Oko right here, and this one, it doesn't say anything. The float pins and for each one are the same. Your adjustment on your floats is right here. It's this little tiny pin that you bend right here or right here. What that does is raise or lower the float in the float bowl, which is right here. All that does is if the float is set lower, then the gas turns off and you have a lower amount of fuel in here. Same with if you bend the pin upwards right here, then you'll have more fuel in there, but you need a certain amount, and it's set amount. There is no adjustment. You have to have it within a range, which is probably just right at the top of this. So, oh, here's what I wanted to show you. Now, most of you motocrossers out there, I'll do that in the next video.